So the answers are 5 and 11. So that means x is equal to 5 and x is equal to 0. Right? So that is x minus 5 equals 0. And this one is just x equals 0, okay? So it's just x on its own. So your two sets of brackets are x minus 5 and the other bracket is just x on its own, right, equals 0. And then multiply into the bracket. So multiply x by x is x squared, x by minus 5 is minus 5x equals 0, and that's just the answer. Is that okay? Are we okay with that? Right, I'll take that as a yes. Right, okay, I'm moving on. They're okay, are they? Right, okay, so I'm moving on, girls, to the laws of indices are next. Right, okay. So before we start writing down the laws of indices, I'll just write the heading and then don't write what I write next. Right, what's an indice? Give me an example of an indice. 2 to the power of 3 is an indice. Right, what's 2 to the power of 3 mean? 2 by 2 by 2, isn't it? 2 by itself 3 times. Okay, x squared is an indice, right? 5 to the power of 5 is an indice, right? Anything that has a power in it is an indice, right? Okay, and we refer to this as the base, right? So that's a base of 5 and the power is also 5. So here, which one is the base here? 2, and which is the power? 3. Which is the base here? X. And which is the power? Squared. Okay, right, the 2. Right, okay, so that's just to tell you what the laws of indice, or what an indice is. Now I'm going to tell you the first law of indice, right, okay? So the first law is to do with multiplication. And the rule says to multiply powers. I can't see because my glasses are all fogged up. Unfog. So to multiply powers, right, that's the rule. To multiply powers of the same number, add the indices. Right, might as well be Japanese at this stage, right, but this is what I mean. Right, so if I want to multiply 4 squared multiplied by 4 to the power of 3. Okay, so what does 4 squared mean? 4 multiplied by 4, isn't that right? Okay, and then I want to multiply that by 4 to the power of 3. What would 4 to the power of 3 be? 4 by 4 by 4, wouldn't it? Okay, so that's another way. So that's another way of writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's another way of writing 4 to the power of what? 5. So the shortcut, girls, right? Okay, instead of writing it all out, you could have just went, that's 4 to the power of 2 and 3 make 5. So to multiply powers of the same numbers, so they're 4 to the power of 4 to the power, they're the same numbers, you just add the indices. So you add 2 and 3 and you get 5, right? Okay, so this is me doing it out the long way to show you that the short way works. Okay, right? So if I had something like, can I take this away? If I had 2 to the power of 5 multiplied by 2 to the power of 4, what's the answer? 2 to the power of 9. Right, so you just add the indices. If I had x to the power of 3 multiplied by, I'm just doing a dot for multiplied by because I don't want you to think it's an x, multiplied by x to the power of 6, what's the answer? X to the power of 9. If I had 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 3 to the power of 2. What's the answer? You don't know. Why? You can't use the shortcut. Why not? Because the bases are different. Okay? So, no shortcut. Okay? You'd have to work out 2 to the power of 3, which is 8. 8 multiplied by 3 squared is 9. So you'd have to work it out like that. Okay? So there's only a shortcut if they have the same base. Okay? Right? So we get rule number 1. Right? I think indices are on the ordinary level course as well, aren't they? Does anyone, do these look familiar to everyone? Yeah? Right, okay. So the second rule is division. So to divide powers of the same number, subtract the powers. For example, if I had 2 to the power of 5 divided by, remember over means divided by. So 2 to the power of 5 divided by 2 to the power of 3, the shortcut says you just subtract. So it's the top, take away the bottom. So what's the answer? 2 to the power of 2. Right? So if I had x to the power of 6 divided by x to the power of 5, what's the answer? X to the power of 1, but I don't write x to the power of 1, I just write x, right, don't I? Right, if I had 7 to the power of 4 divided by 7, what would that be? 7 on its own is actually 7 to the power of 1, isn't it? So the answer is 7 to the power of 3. Right, remember we don't really write to the power of 1. Okay, are we all okay with that? Yeah. Right, okay. Right, and I think I'll do rule number 3 as well. Okay, come back to me now. I'm not giving you a break at all ever again if you don't come back to me. Right, so a power to a power. So the rule is to raise a power to a power. And again, this won't make sense until I show you an example, and then it'll make perfect sense. To raise a power to a power, multiply the indices. Okay, so that just means if I had something like 2 to the power of 3 all to be squared, right? So when you're squaring something, it just means to multiply it by itself. So that means 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 3, wouldn't it? Because it's 2 to the power of 3 to be squared, which is 2 to the power of what? Multiply rule number 1, add the indices, 2 to the power of 6. But the shortcut would have been to raise a power to a power, you just multiply 3 by 2 is 6. Right? Okay, if I have 3 to the power of 4 all to the power of 3, what would that be? 3 to the power of 12. Right? If I have x to the power of 4 all to the power of 5, what would the answer be? x to the power of 20. Okay? Is that right? Okay, so I think we'll just stick with those rules and we'll go with yes. Would it not be 3 to the power of? Yeah, but it's to the power of 3. So it'd be 3 to the power of 4 by 3 to the power of 4 by 3 to the power of 4, wouldn't it? And then if you added them, you get 12. Is that okay? Will I keep going with the rest of the powers? Yes.
In the first one where it's like 2 to the power 2 by 2 to the power 3.
Yeah.
How is it not 2 to the power 5? Like how would you...
Because when you're multiplying, rule number one says that, like, can I just do it out for you? 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 3. Yeah? So 2 to the power of 3, what does that mean? It means 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. Agreed?
Yeah.
Right. This 2 to the power of 3 means 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. Agreed? So how many 2's have I? 6. Is that alright?
Yeah.
Okay. What you're thinking of 2 to the power of 3 all to the power of 3.
Yeah.
Now that would be 2 to the power of 9. Okay? Is that right? Okay. Right. What do I do? Can I just do I'm actually going to, I said I was going to stop there, but I'm actually not. I'm going to do 2 more rules. Right? Okay? So I'm going to do 2 more rules. Why? Because they're easy enough. Okay? So number 4 is a product raised to a power. A product So if you have something like AB all to the power of 3, right? That just means it's A to the power of 3. That's the same as A to the power of 3 and B to the power of 3. Okay? So a product, so if you have something in the bracket all to the power of 3, it's just each term separately to the power of 3. So for example, if I had 2x all to the power of 3, right, what would that be the same as? 2 to the power of 3 times x to the power of 3, wouldn't it? But I know 2 to the power of 3. What is 2 to the power of 3 as a number? 2 by 2 by 2, which is 8. That's 8x to the power of 3. Okay? So, if you have something in a product, something multiplied by something inside the bracket to a power, it's just each one separately to the power. Okay? So if I just say x, y to the power of 4, that would be the same as x to the power of 4 times y to the power of 4. Okay? And the last rule I'm doing today is any number to the power of 0 right, so any number to the power of 0 is 1. So, for example, what's 2 to the power of 0? 2 to the power of 0 is 1. What's 100 to the power of 0? 1. What's x to the power of 0? 1. So anything to the power of 0. So it doesn't matter what the base is. So anything to the power of 0, the answer is always 1. Is that okay? And that's I'll do the rest of the rules tomorrow, right? And between now and tomorrow, you're going to do page 79 you're going to do numbers, all of number 1, all of number 2, all of number 3. They're really short. And I want you to have a go at number 4. I haven't done any examples of number 4, but it'll be a good introduction for tomorrow's class, okay? So page 79, 1, 2, 3 and 4.